Joining us here is a man whose work I truly love and enjoy. He's one of the best sports columnists out there, whether it's on a game day like Saturday's Michigan-Ohio State game or on a day like today to give us perspective on the college football world. Yahoo columnist, Yahoo sports columnist Dan Wetzel back here on the show. How are you, Dan?
I'm well, Rich. Not as well as you. You Michigan people are having yourself a moment, aren't you?
Well, you could peel us off the ceiling.
It's well deserved. It's well earned.
I appreciate that. And all the Ohio State friends of mine and fans of mine always told me that a win over Michigan always gets better each passing day. Now I'm getting that sense back after not having felt it in quite some time, and I had no idea that on top of it, my complete disdain for Notre Dame would be fed in the manner of the winningest coach in the history of that esteemed program, saying LSU's better. Why did Brian Kelly say that? Is it money? Is it really just that? What is it, Dan?
No, it's a shot to win a national title, and this is where we're at in college football. This is an incredible move by Kelly, because there are 4 games this weekend that matter and who gets in the playoff. And Notre Dame needs like 1 or 2 results, none of which are out of line, and they would be in the playoff on Sunday. Like if Georgia beats Alabama and either Cincinnati loses, Michigan loses, or Oklahoma State loses, which again very possible, Notre Dame's going to get in this playoff, and Brian Kelly would have a playoff team for the 3rd time in 4 seasons. And this isn't like the NBA playoffs. There's only 4 teams in the playoff, okay? And so everything we've ever been told by coaches, teams, we're all in, we can do it, nobody believes in us, just give us a shot, we'll rise up. Brian Kelly is staring at that possibility and saying, yeah, I'm out. I don't care. We don't have a shot, or I'm not even going to try. And he's bailing on a potential team. If he made this move on Sunday, if Notre Dame doesn't get in and he makes this move on Sunday, totally get it. But the fact he's doing it now is just like I said, like the sequel to Rudy is horrible. Like this is not what we were going for here. It's just everything against sports. So he's making that move. But the crazy part of the sport is he's looking and saying, I have a better chance of winning a national championship. I'm 60 years old. I'm a very, very good coach. I have a better chance of winning a national championship by going and taking over an LSU program that is 500 the last 2 seasons than actually coaching in the playoffs this year with a program that is 44-6 over the last 4 to make their 3rd playoff appearance. That's how important it is to have the elite level recruits that you can get at LSU, but you just can't really get at Notre Dame.
Well,
so that's where the sport's at.
Well, part of that may be, the provost that's there in South Bend, and, Notre Dame definitely has different aspects of their program that other schools around the country, certainly like LSU, I don't believe have. So I kind of see all that, but the question I have is, was there a take it or leave it? You've got 24 hours, 48 hours deal on the table for Brian Kelly. Why wouldn't he play this thing out? Because if he did play it out to see if they have a college football playoff, that certainly LSU wouldn't wait 4 more weeks to fill their role, right? There's recruiting that's going on right now, Dan?
It seems we'll find out more as this hashes out, but it would seem like you had to make that move right now. You at least wait 5 days, right? But the nature of this thing is everything moves very, very fast. And there's recruiting. Signing day is in 2 weeks. They very foolishly created an early, quote-unquote, signing day, which totally sends this every year into tumult and has kids signing with programs that don't even have coaches. And terrible idea, but they do it. But I would guess that LSU said, you take this offer now or not, and we'll go in another direction. And Brian Kelly took it. We'll see, though. It happened very, very quickly. Brian Kelly was in a recruit's home recruiting for Notre Dame yesterday. Then walked out, took the job.
Come on.
And then tried to fly home.
Come on. Are you serious?
Yeah. It's close to the all-timer, which was when Tommy Tuberville was at Texas Tech and was at a meeting, at a recruiting dinner with a family, took a call, accepted the Cincinnati job, and then just left, just ghosted them in the restaurant. Love it. That's the all-timer, but this is close.
Wow. Dan, I've got one for you on the opposite side of that spectrum. Rod Woodson, my buddy, Pro Football Hall of Famer, told me that when he was recruited, Mr. Indiana in football, coming out of the great state of Indiana that we're talking about right now, that Lee Corso was the coach of Indiana football and recruited him thusly, showed up to his front door, said, Rod, I've just been fired as head coach of Indiana football, but you should still go there. It's a great place. That's why he did.
Corso, yeah.
And thus, he went to Purdue because he wanted to stay at home. You know, so it's unbelievable. That's, I guess, maybe the opposite end of that.
That would be the opposite. It was a more simpler time, and and Lee Corso is a great man.
Well, I'll tell you this, Dan. Let's have this conversation.
This is a different sport now.
Of course, but let's have that conversation then. Dan Wetzel of Yahoo here on the Rich Eisen Show. I don't want to hear another human being complain when a college football player does not play in his bowl game because there's nothing, quote unquote, left to play for, and we're supposed to sit here and say you got to play for the school, you got to play for your pride, you got to play for your teammates when they've got an NFL career going, and college football head coaches are showing up and recruiting somebody in their house and then saying I'm out. He has every right to do that, and he's doing this for his family and his career. What about players? This is professional sports now. Dan?
Yeah, well, fortunately, they finally gave up on the and allow the transfer portal, and that took years and years of a lot of yelling at college athletics to allow that. But at least the players can leave too, and they can leave right after. I mean, Lincoln Riley, he wasn't recruiting hours before he took a job. He was literally coaching to get in the Big 12 championship game. Right? Walks out of the locker room and basically takes the USC job. So all of this stuff happens, and at least now the players can also leave. They're all free to go, and they can go somewhere else and play next season. There's no sitting out. But clearly, that charade that the loyalty had to be one way and only one way was always outrageous, and it becomes more and more outrageous as it goes. Brian Kelly has every single right to go take whatever job he wants, and he did. The players should have the right to go, hey, I want to follow him, or I only came to Notre Dame for this reason, or I want to go whatever school I want to go to now. So it's got to be a two-way street, and at least now we're on that path where it is a two-way street.
Dan Wetzel, Yahoo Sports here on the Rich Eisen Show. You have any ear to the ground on who Notre Dame might be looking at to fill in this role right now? Obviously, temporarily, if not writ large. What do you got for me?
Yeah, it's fresh because they weren't expecting it. Literally a week ago, Brian Kelly sat in front of the media and discussed, basically said he had the same belief as Mike Tomlin, and said only a $250 million deal would get him away. A $250 million deal. He got about 95 to 100 million. So Notre Dame was not expecting this. Look, the guy they want is Luke Fickell, the Cincinnati coach. Luke Fickell is a different guy. Look, never say never. You can't be cynical enough in this profession, but I cannot imagine Luke Fickell walking away from his team, certainly if they make this playoff, like Brian Kelly just did. I cannot fathom him doing that, the type of guy he is. Luke Fickell is the perfect hire there. He is a Midwest guy. He is an Ohio guy. Ohio State has a coach for the long term. Other jobs in the area that maybe Michigan now isn't looking to open. Penn State just has a big deal. So if he wants to stay, Notre Dame is a possibility for Luke Fickell, but I also could see Luke Fickell just saying, no, I'm good. I'm going to stay at Cincinnati. We're going in the Big 12, all that. Marcus Freeman, their young defensive coordinator, highly, highly regarded, has done incredible work this year with the defense and in recruiting. He has no head coaching experience. It's a very challenging job. Notre Dame is a tough job, so that would be there. And then you have, the Matt Campbells or somebody like that who's done a pretty good job at Iowa State. Those are probably your three most likely. You could get NFL interest. You could get a lot of different people, but Notre Dame's scrambling right now, and I don't know that they can even get Luke Fickell on the phone to find out whether he's interested. But if Cincinnati wins on Saturday, I think he's off the table. if Cincinnati loses on Saturday, now maybe you got a shot at Luke Fickell.
Well, I mean, while we're being cynical, the dots being connected with Urban Meyer having a very difficult time in his first year. As you already said, no way. I mean, he's already gotten as many losses in Jacksonville this year that he had at Ohio State in his entire tenure there. He's already got 9, and we're only entering week 13 in this NFL season. We know his affinity for the place. He was there in his coaching whistle stop tour that's led him to Jacksonville. No way. You just said the words "no way," right?
Yeah. Look, Urban Meyer wins. Urban Meyer is a high maintenance drama. It's going to end ugly. There's going to be it's everything Notre Dame doesn't want to be. Would he win? Yes. Could he recruit and deal with the job under the all the different things that go on at Notre Dame, some of the academic restrictions, the little things. Freshmen have to live on the dorm, right? Freshmen, they want the players have to live with the other students. They have to eat in dining commons with other students except for training camp. Urban wants a 24-hour sealed-off football program. Like, he's a terrible fit for Notre Dame. A terrible fit, other than he would win. He could have had Notre Dame years ago, and he took Florida because he knew that would fit better. I mean, if Notre Dame did that, they would probably win, but I don't know. He is just not a fit at Notre Dame. Urban is a very, very good college football coach, a great college football coach, but it's all got to be on his terms, and it's going to burn out really quick. He's just not that guy that Notre Dame. Brian Kelly was pushing it at Notre Dame and pushed to get change, and invariably couldn't. So I don't think Urban Meyer's got a shot at this thing. I don't think Notre Dame wants him. I don't think they want to win that desperately to take Urban Meyer. Certainly not the administration and all of that.
Last one for you then. The timing of all this. You said it seems like Oklahoma's president said, we wish we had more of a heads up. Notre Dame seems to be caught flat-footed. But James Franklin, who was rumored to be wanting, if not on the list of both of these jobs that were filled by Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly, he signs a contract last week to stay at Penn State. If he has an inkling that those jobs are not going to be his, why didn't the schools that lost their coaches know that their coaches were on those wish lists? Doesn't everybody talk? I mean, seriously. And these contracts, I had fun with it a little bit on Twitter and earlier on, Dan Wetzel. I don't know if you watched Succession and the terms that the Roy family accepted to maintain control of Waystar Royco. They're worse than what Lincoln Riley got from USC, I mean, with private jets and everything. So it's not like these deals can just be done over 24 hours. There has to be a lot of talk behind the scenes here.
I think, Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly are the same agent. I think a good agent can do a lot of stuff quietly.
Who's the agent? Who's the agent?
Oh, we'll get to that. But
Okay.
But if you do the thing, if you do it, because I don't know all the details that went down.
Okay.
But I don't know, Brian. Look, James Franklin, his name's out there. He gets the deal. He also finished 2-5. I don't know how hot of a candidate he was going to end up being.
Right.
But, yeah, you have to talk to your coaches and try to keep them. In the past, people never left a so-called blue blood program for another blue blood program. I mean, nobody ever willingly left Oklahoma or Notre Dame. I think the last time a guy left Notre Dame was like 1907, and it was pre-Bud Wilkinson that anyone left Oklahoma. You got those jobs, you stayed. You did Tom Osborne, you did Joe Pa, you did Bear Bryant, you did Bo and Woody. You didn't leave unless you got old or fired or there's scandal. You stayed at those places and tried to win and stayed and said, hey, over the next 20 years, maybe we can win one. Nowadays, the pressure to get the elite recruits, because recruiting is so much better of a science. It's way more like an NFL draft. And the top schools that can attract them get such a talent advantage. People look and say, well, there's a 5-star, there's a 4-star, it's not that big of a difference. No one would ever say that in the NFL draft. A 5-star recruit is like a first-round draft pick. And there's only 250 guys about get drafted a year. If you're outside that 250 in the NFL, you're an undrafted free agent. Those guys, nobody thinks about them. Like Georgia right now has 6 5-star recruits committed for next year. That's 6 first-round draft picks. How are you beating that team if you don't have any first-round draft picks? So the ability to get to those schools that can get that player, and that's LSU, is so enormous because it's probably the only way you can actually beat the top. There's only a few schools that can win it right now, and that's what Brian Kelly's chasing. But everyone else, and that's what Lincoln Riley's chasing. He's saying, I got a better shot because Southern California has a ton of great players. Oklahoma has produced 1 5-star, 1 top 30 player since 2007. 1 kid, and you end up going to Michigan, Daxton Hill from Tulsa. But that's it. So you have to be able to get the elite player to win football. The same way a team that never gets a first-round pick is going to struggle in the NFL.
Dan, great stuff as always. Love reading your material and having these conversations with you. Greatly appreciate it. Let's do it down the line, please.
Anytime.
Thanks again. That's Dan
Enjoy
Wetzel.
The game this weekend.
Yeah, I will do my best to do so. Thanks again. That's Dan Wetzel right here from Yahoo Sports, national columnist of Yahoo Sports, at Dan Wetzel on Twitter. Follow him. Read his material. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.